Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Good morning, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. It might be snowing outside, but there are solar rays emanating from my heart.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. I'm with Alun Cocker-Leaky-Cochran and Emily Dean. You can text us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. You betcha. See a bit of high energy. That's what they need this time of the morning.
New development in your character.
Speaking of my character, You
are a bit of a character, aren't you?
I'm a colourful character. I never could deny that. I've had a couple of outings this week. I don't mean I've been exposed as a homosexual. You can't keep doing that, surely.
We can't have two in 1 week.
No. I went. You may recall when I spoke to you guys last week that I was off to a Doctor Who event.
Yes.
At the British Film Institute.
I called it one of those conventions, and you got a bit sniffy about that.
It wasn't really a convention.
Okay.
It was a screening, and then there was some people involved with the early... It was the first ever Doctor Who they showed.
Mm-hmm. Convention.
This was the William Hartnell Doctor Who. Do you know that one?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know him.
Yeah, he was the very first. He's still the one I think of as Doctor Who, really, though there was many greats since then. This was in the days when eccentric, long, white-haired, middle-aged men were still acceptable on children's television.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my God.
And he was brilliant. Anyway, we watched the actual episodes, and they were great. And then they got some of the people who were in them, including the girl who played his granddaughter, Susan, who's an actress called Carol Ann Ford. And I love actors.
Oh, tell me about
They're
it.
a laugh a minute, aren't they?
Love an actor.
And there's
Can I
something...
ask, Frank, there was a lot of people, I would say, in their 60s, 70s, where there were a lot of fedoras for the men. And a paisley scarf.
I mean, we were indoors. I would hope that they like a scarf.
Love a scarf and a lanyard.
Yeah, I'll tell you what also what they like to do is when the scripts come out, they like to put the specs on, even if they don't need specs, I think. Just looks a bit. So then you get the rehearsal photos, and they've got glasses on. It looks like, this is a slightly different stage in the development.
Especially in black and white. Those glasses look great.
So they said to... the Carol Ann Ford, they said, so what was it like being, in the very first episodes of Doctor Who? It was exciting times. It was a big hit straight away, and the public really responded to it. And she said, well, you see, they wouldn't let me play the part the way I wanted to. She said, I remember the producer put his arm around my shoulder and said to me, after the pilot, she said, Carol, just take it down a bit. Well, of course, what he meant was take it down a lot. And I thought, this is great. 50 years on. It's brilliant. They said to her, is that why you left? She said, well, I left because they couldn't write for me.
Can I say I love her? Is it my mother?
She was so great. I loved it. Sidney Newman put his arm around me, which he always did when he was going to tell me off.
You see, my problem with Doctor Who, though, Frank, because all those people, because most of my parents' friends were in it, to be honest. What you've described is a dinner party at my parents' in 1976.
But I love it. I don't mind. I find it very entertaining. I could have given her a big hug.
Yes, but you didn't have to live with these people. And also... What was awful was I'd be trying to enjoy Doctor Who, and there's some evil overlord, and my mum would say, that's a lovely little gig for Bruce. I can't take his character seriously.
My dad never said that when we watched Doctor Who.
Did it not puncture the balloon slightly for you when you were a kid, and they were like, oh, John's a Dalek. You don't want to know what's in there. Is that what happened?
Yes. I'd see the overlords drinking red wine and staying up late. Ruined it.
It sounds brilliant to me. I'm very envious that you were sort of...
exposed
You were
to
in
it.
that blur between Doctor Who and real life.
You were in Blur?
She was in Blur. And she also went out with the manager of Suede, if I remember right.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Ricky Gervais, wasn't it?
What? Was that your made-up story?
Twitter. Yeah, that is my made-up story. But I didn't say it was Ricky Gervais.
No, he was at the time, wasn't he?
I know.
Was he the manager of Suede? I can't remember.
Apparently, someone said, yeah.
I think he was the manager of Velour.
Maybe.
A very similar fabric to Suede.
Oh, Velour. I thought you said the law. I was thinking,
No,
hey.
not the, I'm glad you went with it, though. God bless you for that. I also...
Yes?
Well, maybe I shall play some music first, but I had a bit of an embarrassing experience
Another
at
one.
the Royal Festival Hall.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, before you go any further, we've now had, I'd say, at least 3 missives in your shoes that you wore on Room 101, which is another project of yours.
Shows how funny the show was.
Yeah, I knew that would be
People's
your
minds
response.
started wandering, and so, though, to be fair, his shoes are all right.
Simon,
Yes.
for example, says, I was just watching Room 101 and thinking how well Frank was wearing that suit. When he raised again, doesn't say you're funny.
No.
When he raised the bar even further with those fantastic shoes, tan brogues, where did he get them?
I believe, I don't know if I should, they're Ben Sherman's, if you really want to know.
You do a lot of work for them.
Well, I just, I'm not, I'm not plugging anyone. All the shoes are available.
Adidas Originals training shoes, they're good. UK 10.
All right, stop.
Very nice on.
God.
Yeah, and I don't want a black Nandos card either.
Just go to the fashion
Nandos. I
cupboard.
don't think they'll send you it if you call them Nandos.
Isn't it Nandos?
Nandos.
I thought that was it, the Greek chicken shop.
Hey, your father trying to pronounce Nando's.
Why isn't it?
No, it isn't anything. It's Nando's. Nando's.
I thought,
Nandos.
Dappy got done this week, didn't he? For doing, Dappy.
He's been a silly Billy.
He's got the most Greek name I've ever seen in my life. He's got more Aussies than
George Michael.
a Black Country stable owner. People in the Black Country will get that. No one else will. Anyway, so look, I went to the T.S. Eliot Awards, which is like a poetry thing. Shut up about it.
Nice.
Yeah, and it was a lovely night out. And I thought, I'll get myself in the interval. I'll go and get some ice cream.
Oh.
So I went over to this. There was no one else getting ice cream, and I went over to this.
It's not a big ice cream crowd, I shouldn't
no,
imagine.
the poetry
They
lot.
not all stop off and get themselves like a little book of limericks or something.
They're black coffee and granola
Why?
bars, that lot.
Anyway, so she said, there's chocolate strawberry or vanilla bean.
Oh.
And I said, vanilla bean?
No.
Vanilla bean ice cream? And I said, I've never heard of that before.
Isn't that Courtney Love's child?
But I went on and on. I went on and on about, what a weird, I've got to try that just to see what it's like. And I realised after, because I was basically talking about vanilla ice cream, which is not that unusual.
But they've called it vanilla bean.
Vanilla bean, yeah.
Because I'm aware of the vanilla pod, the actual pod, like in real life.
Oh, this is from a different part of the vanilla thing.
I've never heard of a vanilla bean. I
'Cause
would have been confused like you were.
She
Not
looked
as
at
embarrassingly.
me the way Mindy used to look at More when he'd say an armchair. Like it was like she looked at me like I was a bit troubled.
Oh.
It tasted like vanilla ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
it would do
surprised.
that,
Nice.
darling.
So the bean and the pod are different.
Oh,
things.
you know the people
And never the twain
texting-
shall meet.
People texting explaining what the vanilla thing is.
Good. I want to know.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the bean is inside the pod, presumably.
Presumably.
I don't know.
8, 12, 15.
Okay.
That's how they can
Yeah,
tell
you
us.
text us on 81215 about the difference between a vanilla bean and a vanilla pod and their general relationship to each other.
Can I just say, don't text us about essence. We're not interested in vanilla essence
No.
today. We know about that.
Well, I'm not interested in any kind of essence today.
But you
And
enjoyed
also-
the T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, what people get up and read 2 or 3 of their poems. They're all nominated for a prize. They read 2 or 3. And there was a bloke who, every time people read poetry, stood up
Oh.
in the audience. And he just, to be fair, he'd got a back row seat. He'd planned ahead. He'd
Oh,
obviously
that's
thought,
nice
well,
of
I'll
him.
get a back row
He
because...
goes to a lot of James gigs, apparently. Is that right? Yeah.
Well, that's an in-joke, isn't it? It's an
music
in-joke.
joke.
I don't even get
It's
it.
a music
you
joke
do.
about the
It's
band
a
James
music
and their
joke.
hit Sit Down.
Oh, right. Thank you
It's
so
quite a
much
good
for
joke,
that.
actually.
You'll have to... I'm 55.
I got a music joke. That's the front line. That's the headline there. It's that I actually got it.
Well, I've lost me. Oh,
No, I know. The man
Flaming Nora.
the man was...
The man stood up all the way through
Oh,
the
he stood up all the way
Yeah.
through.
poem.
And I thought this bloke's got a back row seat because he thinks when there's poetry on, you need to stand up. But people next to him, you could see, were uncomfortable. And I never go to anything now where there isn't at least one person in the audience who you think might have an history of mental illness. And it makes me wonder now, the whole care in the community thing has blurred the edges a bit, just like you and Doctor Who. And they looked a bit frightened by him when he stood up. I could see there were people, like, slightly looking the other way and stuff. And what do you do? No, that's this week's texting.
It's vanilla, and what do you do?
Yeah,
What's your favourite T.S. Eliot poem?
We can't. We can't. Let us go then, you and I.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
So it's not really our jurisdiction to start talking about the weather on this bit of the show, but I feel like we ought to, because
The weather is sponsored by...
What a lot of weather we've been having lately.
Who?
Green flag.
Oh, green flag, yeah.
But we have been having a lot of weather lately, haven't we? I mean, there's the snow. I've got my hard-working outdoor boots with me. Not like I've got indoor boots, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but those boots you've got on, I've got a pair of those.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got very obsessed by his boots this morning.
You really did.
Interrogation of the boots.
You know
in the
why I'm
shops, I was
obsessed?
working-
Go on.
Because I think we can say what they're called, can't we?
Yeah, they're a Blundstone, like an Aussie work boot.
Yeah, so I only get them out in tough weather conditions. And so I got them out last night, and they were sticking to the floor of the flat.
Oh, God, you've been to Horse Meat
thought
Disco.
I was tempted to... I don't know what.
Horse Meat Disco. Vauxhall.
I was tempted to take on one of the walls. They were really sticky.
Sort of spidey senses.
Yeah, and is it Lionel Richie who did Dancing on the Ceiling?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, they were sticking and leaving black marks on the floor. I had to take them off and then put them up when I was exterior.
Oh, no.
So I went out. I took my beloved for a big flashy meal.
Nice.
Lovely.
Wagamama. And and I like
How
communal.
big those balls of noodle soup
They are.
Yeah.
I had the ramen.
Love it.
Oh, I love a
Chili ramen I went for.
You call it Raymond, like Nando's.
Chili Raymond is he's the guy around the corner that runs the delicatessen. Anyway, so I went into a bookshop after to, I thought I'd look at, those old-fashioned paper books. They got those in there. And the woman said, "Excuse me, I think you've trodden in something." And I said, "I have never."
Oh, were you leaving a trail? How
I was,
embarrassing.
yeah, but the thing was,
Awful.
I looked at my boots, and it was nothing on my boots were disintegrating. So the tread, I was leaving the tread on the floor. I was steadily getting down to sock level, or up to sock level. Well, I said, I haven't trodden anything. I said, I said my soul is disintegrating.
Oh,
they
dear.
both looked frightened.
Did they go S-O-U-L or S-O-L-E?
Well, exactly.
You need clarity.
Did they say
don't you?
Jodie Marsh was in here the other day and said exactly the same thing?
I said, my soul is disintegrated. They said, were you standing up at the poetry the other night? So I had to walk home losing a tiny layer of rubber with every step.
Yeah, you know who's happiest about this story? Ben Sherman that make your tan brogues.
Yes,
They're thinking
exactly.
we
I
are
could
doing
walk-
well
I
against the
could walk
competition.
a million miles. But honestly, it was is petrified the right word?
Petrified sounds right, yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, Frank.
I thought she
dear.
was an East European runner from the
Petrified.
1980s. So anyway,
But yeah, I've got the snowy boots on, but it's been okay. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it's terrible, it's terrible." Everyone's panic buying,
Oh, I love
and
it.
actually, it's not that bad, is it? It's
I love
fine.
a bit of snow, mate.
You love the snow, don't you, Frank?
Brilliant.
Yeah. My favourite thing yesterday was on the news where they show the little clips of sliding cars and buses where nobody gets hurt. Just the bus was, I think it was a sports car going up a hill in
I don't
Muswell
mind if a
Hill.
couple of people get hurt. Even. just for if it's a
If
really
it's funny
funny
enough
one.
as a clip.
I
yeah.
don't want them to get badly hurt, but say if it was really funny and somebody lost a finger, I think
Yeah.
that's worth it.
Minor abrasions.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it really made me laugh. The sports car sliding around Muswell Hill. It's funny. Maybe they'll play it while we're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's all. I saw there was some great shots of empty supermarket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shelves.
people really go
I
for the
love
bread,
that.
don't they?
Always looks good on telly. That.
They're saying people they're stocking up, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no bread or milk at all left in the shops.
Now you see the bread or milk thing. they say that's panic buying. To me, buying bread or milk is not panic buying. Panic buying is throwing, I'll have 5 light bulbs and some cat litter.
Yeah.
That's panic buying. Why have I bought these? I don't have a cat.
Well, my wife did.
Bread and milk, that's very considered sensible buying.
Bread and milk is the Les Miserables diet.
Yeah.
My wife did panic buying in a non-snow circumstance last week. She just went in the supermarket without really thinking and came out with a whole duck and 36 nappies and came home and went, I bought a duck and nappies, I don't even know why. I just walked into the supermarket and panicked. You can panic buy in any circumstances, can't you?
That's...
You look genuinely startled at this.
That is really odd. A duck and nappies. Isn't that the guy from N-Dubs?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
My dad always used to say, as long as you got the potatoes in the house, you got a meal.
Oh, yeah.
Not if you live in my house, you haven't. I love this panic buying. It's a good way to lose weight. There's no food around.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like. It's got an element of a supermarket sweep about it.
Oh, yeah.
You're racing and just grabbing anything that's... But I've seen no genuine panic.
No.
Also, it's a bit... I don't like this hysteria. I don't live at Wuthering Heights. It's ridiculous. There's Ocado.
There'll be people listening to this who live in the countryside who are probably trapped now in their own hovels. And
Country hovels.
Yeah.
Who, Heathcliff,
you know,
talking about?
fine trail of smoke coming out the chimney. And we're our only contact with civilization, and they're thinking, well, actually, it's not as good as you think. I've had to eat Uncle Jeff.
I've had to eat Nandos.
Yeah. When is it?
McDonald's.
I bet he's in Nandos. He's the other cousin.
Also, Frank, another thing I've noticed about the snow this season, it's AW13, is snowballs have now been outlawed. Did you read this?
I did read about that, yeah.
You're arrested if you throw a snowball.
To be fair, it said that you could throw them at willing participants.
I loved that.
That's right, but that's fair, because, you know, there are some people, and we all know the kind of people I'm talking about, who they'll throw...
The devil dogs.
They'll just throw at old people's windows and stuff like that and terrorise them. If it's kids throwing snowballs at each other, I'm for the good people. I once heard a sermon in Farm Street Roman Catholic Church in Mayfair. And the bloke said he went to a monastery and there was a visitors section and there was a sign on the door and it said, everyone who visits this monastery brings joy, either by their presence or by their leaving. Yeah?
Yeah.
And I think you're talking about the sort of people who bring more presents by leaving a place than they do by being there. I mean, there's a man in the paper who said that some people put stones in snowballs.
Yeah, that slightly annoyed me, though, because he was saying, this will be... like a criminal offence to throw snowballs with stones in it. And I was thinking, well, that's not really throwing snowballs, is it? It's throwing stones. That's what that is. It just happens to be wrapped in a snowball.
I mean, you could also say, if you wrap explosives in a snowball, exactly. That's also a bad thing.
Or wrapping a stone in tissue isn't throwing tissues at people, is it? It's throwing stones.
I hate snowballs.
I'd say it's also throwing tissues.
You hate snowballs?
Oh... You know what I hate is people over a certain age throwing snowballs. People that own property bending down to throw snowballs.
Yeah, I know.
40
the thing
throwing
is,
snowballs.
I can't throw. I've always had what's the politically correct term? Like a big sissy girl throw.
Oh,
right, yeah.
Oh, that isn't the politically correct term. Okay, I don't have any. Even when I played cricket at school, people just laugh when I throw the ball. So when I throw a snowball, it's terrible. I throw like one of those Chinese good fortune cats. You know those ones who seem to be waving and throwing. They might possibly be doing a slightly camp throw. That's how I. And I don't bring good fortune with it. I bring derision.
Oh dear.
So I'm staying away from the snowballs. I think snowballs great if you're throwing at people who want to be thrown at.
I loved that when he said in the papers, people that want, if you're throwing snowballs at people who do not want to be involved. I just really like the phrase. It's like old reformed gangster. Look, I don't want to get involved. I used to snowball. It's behind me now.
Keep me out of this.
I'm going straight.
Yeah. Also, that old woman next door is causing a blockage on the pavement with the amount of milk outside her door. How much milk do you need? That's panic buying, and it's being delivered daily.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Tell you what, let's cheer ourselves up with a little journey to Email Corner. Was gibt?
Well, we have an email from a lady called Sophie. Hello, Frank, Emily and Alan. I keep seeing random shoes on the road, mostly fast roads, sort of abandoned. How do they get there? Whenever I see them, I always wonder and my imagination runs away with me. I've settled on the theory that lots of people hang their legs out of the car window and their shoes fall off. Or...
What, their indicators are broken?
Yeah, these people have all got cruise control, presumably.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they have suitcases on their roof rack and the zip breaks and their shoes fall out.
But just their shoes, mind.
Where has a roof rack in this day and age?
I was thinking of getting a roof rack, you know, one of those top boxes.
Get a people carrier.
Such a dork, aren't I?
I'm thinking of having something fitted under the car.
Oh, yeah.
It's a bit more private.
Enjoy the speed bumps. Am I overlooking a much simpler reason for shoes on the road? Sophie.
Yes, you are. The fact is, Sophie, we're all living, I think we can now be revealed, we're all living in an enormous game of Monopoly played by God.
Oh, it's the Chaplin boot.
I've noticed some cars on the side of the road as well.
Have you some irons as well, old-fashioned irons?
Not many irons, but quite a lot of cars. And one or two shoes. And some dogs.
There's a huge terrier just off the M1.
There is.
The Yorkshire bit.
No, I mean, it could be newlyweds going over rough terrain.
You think?
Well, that's true.
What do you think it is?
Well, Snow White's a high-mileage driver. No, not Snow White, Cinderella. Oh, ruined my own joke there, didn't I?
No, we're still with you.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
Come on.
But I
come
don't
on.
need it. I've done it. I've done that.
Oh, you actually did it.
You know, Cinderella leaves a shoe behind, doesn't she?
Oh, God,
She leaves a shoe behind.
Yeah, stop it now.
Slipper. It's a slipper.
Oh, when I said I was with you, that was then, this is now.
I hated that 18 seconds.
Well...
Al, do you know what I think it is?
What do you think it is?
I think maybe men sometimes, they're not the cleanest. And sometimes it can get a bit odorous. Maybe the smell gets so overwhelming there's a family argument, and they end up having to throw it out the window.
A shoe?
I think they're wearing... I think their bluntstones are disintegrating. I'll tell you what I am very impressed by, and that is the trainers. They're usually trainers, training shoes, knotted at the laces, thrown over a telegraph wire.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that like a code?
Is it?
Isn't it like a street code for...
is it some swingers thing?
Someone naughty. No,
God.
some guy that'll sell illegal substances lives there or something.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, I love how vague he's pretending to be. He knows exactly what this code is.
Come on, Frank, surely you've seen it on the Wire box sets.
No, I haven't seen it. It certainly didn't happen in Merlin. Because they didn't have shoelaces. They just had, like, pointy slippers.
Nice.
And obviously they didn't have telegraph wires as well. I should point that out.
What do they have in Merlin?
Magic.
Gruel and fur cloaks.
They have magic. But, no, well, I've never heard that before.
I hate that.
That can't be true. Because that means if you're some sort of, if you deal in the substances business, you'd have to get a job next to telegraph wires.
That's what they do. That's
how they choose their homes.
They walk around flats being shown around them by estate agents.
I mean, is that a section on Zoopla? Near telegraph wires.
Do you think estate agents rumble it where I showed this guy around, he kept kissing his teeth and looking out the window of the nearest telegraph pole?
Yeah, it doesn't...
I don't know what the thing was. How weird is that?
I don't get it at all. It's like a bolas. You know the bolas that the South American, the gauchos swing?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Maybe we'll come back to this. You're looking at me like you don't know what on earth I'm talking about.
Frank, Mark has sent us an email, subject line Dappy and Snow. which I like. Sounds promising. Kostadinos Kontostavlos. What a great name.
Yeah, it is a great name.
Love the word reek, as in the snow has continued to wreak havoc this week. Long may it continue to do so. Can the panel think of another time when use of the word reek is appropriate?
You reek.
Ah.
Yeah. No, I mean...
Is it only wreak havoc?
I think only havoc gets wreaked that I
Yeah.
can think of. It's like when there's a spate of burglaries in the area.
Don't some people pronounce it wrecked havoc?
No?
No.
Absolutely no one has ever
No one
pronounced
does that.
it wrecked.
And don't ever bring that up again, that theory.
God, I've wreaked havoc by mentioning
That's my
that,
worst of
haven't I?
all your theories.
But I like a spate. There's
several.
been a spate of burglaries in the area.
Spades.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I can't think of any other case where I'd say I've had a spate of... I've had a spate
I used,
of
spate-
spots on my neck.
I used that once on a man. I sent him an email. I said, due to the recent spate of cancellations... I said that when
Did you?
yes, when he cancelled me.
That's
really?
good. How many spate-based dumping emails can you think of? That's this week's texting. Spate. Johnny Spate, of course, who wrote To Let Us Do Part.
Lovely.
There's only one of him, though, so it's a bit ironic, really.
Frank, would you like to hear why trainers are put over?
I would.
otherwise?
I really thought it was just a sort of a... As I say, I thought it was like the gauchos. They swing those things at animals and leg them over. Do you know that? They're called the bolas.
Oh, okay.
And they're two things at the end of a string. You look at me like I'm making it up, but I'm really
No, I
not.
know what you mean.
They leave, like...
Aidan says...
They leave gaucho marks on their legs. Go on, Aidan.
Oh,
No, it's true, though. They do
God.
throw the bolas.
Trainers-
I'm not talking bolas.
Trainers over telephone wires is used to mark gang territory,
Oh,
not to
dear.
sell anything.
Oh, what I've done is I've gone into a dark area. I didn't mean to. It's all about street violence and
Yeah.
all that.
And quite a few of these texts are unattributed to a person, just like, hi, the trainers mark gang territory lines. Just nothing.
Oh, dear.
And someone says, everybody knows the trainers hung over telephone wire are territory boundaries for gangs. Well,
Well,
not everybody.
I didn't know that.
Not everybody.
And when you see a pair of tan Ben Sherman brogues hanging over a telegraph wire, stay out of my manor.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Now then, you can be texting us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. The old DG. Yeah, so I'm with Cockaliki and Emily Dean.
I'm not so sure.
How are you feeling about Cockaliki?
I'm not so sure. I mean, I've had a lot longer than you to get used to the fact that Cochrane as a surname can be really played with and
Yeah, but
turned
I think
into
you'll agree
nicknames
that
and-
we've avoided some of the obvious pitfalls.
Well, that's because for broadcast reasons it's not appropriate.
No.
And hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
Toeing the line. Yeah, but I'm all right about Cockaliki.
Okay.
fine.
Well, I'm only dabbling. Someone sent it in last
You're
week.
all right
and
about
it's-
Cockaliki. Your bar's pretty low.
Someone sent us an email or text that said just
What about
call me
Mulligatawny?
Leaky. Yeah, nice.
You're all right with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
As long as it's those syllables. That many syllables is what I want to hear.
Well, I think you'll find Mulligatawny is more syllables than
Yes.
Cockaliki.
Yeah, I like that better.
So the more syllables suit,
Yeah,
the better.
yeah.
This is the worst conversation you've ever had in both of your lives.
I'm trying to think now of a standard soup. that
Minestrone.
has
Are
more.
you going minestrone?
Not as many as Mulligatawny.
No, it's not, is it?
Don't be ridiculous.
I thought that's what you were. That's the nearest
Fishy
you're going to
swaz.
get.
Oh, no, that's the same.
Bless you.
Look, are you going to keep... Excellent. We're off.
We've had some good texting about the trainers. The trainers being thrown over a telephone wire.
I only brought up the trainers because I thought it was a whimsical thing that
Well.
schoolboys probably did.
And it turns out very dark reasons.
It is a bit
And
the
then
wire.
It went sinister, yeah.
The wire, brackets, telegraph, close brackets.
Well, Someone's texted what I would call a nice, nasty, nice sandwich. Like a letter of complaint, but not that.
What a night that was.
It's a text. Frank, great show as always. Shoes over telegraph poles started in the USA to show a crack house had opened. Cheers, Ian in Snowy Amersham, which I really like.
Snowy Amersham.
But possibly my favourite is from Dan in Ipswich, who says trainers over a telephone wire indicate a hard water area in Surrey.
So that's much better. I'm sticking with that.
That's great, isn't it?
We've
From now on,
also-
I think that should be the new rule.
Frank, we have an explanation for the shoes on the dual carriageway.
Oh, okay.
Back to the shoes, slightly more innocent territory.
This was
those
an
halcyon
email
days
from,
of the shoes.
Was it Sophie who sent the email about shoes?
I believe
Yeah.
so. Hey, lovies. I don't know if that's a reference to our Doctor Who elderly actor chat earlier this morning.
We're
but-
all quite theatrical
Yes.
in our own little way.
Hey,
aren't we?
lovies, those dual carriageway shoes have been left outside back doors, usually because they whiff to high heaven. Little foxes pinch them to play with and have a bit of a chew and abandon them on their way back home, usually in the early hours.
Is that right?
That sounds quite plausible.
Yeah. And sweet, isn't it? It's
Must be
nice.
a hazard at the mosque. Where all the shoes are left out.
I love that Robert Harris novel.
Yeah, hazard at the mosque. It is. It's very. It's a thriller. I mean,
It's a
that's the only
page-turner.
way to describe it.
Yeah.
I think we're still in email corner if my sat nav serves me well.
Yes. Shall I proceed?
Go on.
Yeah.
This is from Tony. He says, on your programme last night, which sounds very Newsnight. I like that.
Last night.
This is
I
one of your
think
television
he-
shows, wasn't it?
No, he could have been listening to the podcast, perhaps.
Oh, I see.
Let's read on and see.
Yeah.
On your programme last night, you mentioned something like he had a face that needed punching.
Did I say that? I can
I
only
don't-
apologise.
That sounds like your TV work.
I'm against violence in. Actually, I'm not that.
No, you're
against
not.
No, I'm not really against
You
it.
love it.
I just went to follow the cliche, and then I thought, actually, I can think of lots of contexts where it's absolutely acceptable. Carry on.
In a recent Guardian magazine article,
Now we're getting there.
Oliver Berkman said that the German language had a word for just that. Backpfeifengeschichte.
What for a...
I think I may have mispronounced that. I do apologise.
Yeah.
Have another go. I enjoyed it.
Keep it daytime.
Backpfeifengeschichte.
Yeah.
A face in need of a punch. Like Schadenfreude.
Really?
A German word that requires a whole English sentence.
Schadenfreude, of course, if you don't know, is when you sort of enjoy...
Schadenfreude is me, basically.
well, it's when you enjoy the pitfalls of others, often those close to you. There's a French writer who wrote about the very exclusive pleasure of watching a close friend fall off the roof of a house. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about. Yeah, I'm intrigued, though, where this is... I like the face-slapping word. We'll come back to this.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
So what is the German word again for having a face that's very slappable?
It's Backpfeifengeschichte.
I should definitely use that. That's brilliant. I think the important thing about that as well is that there's some people who've got that face that you just want to slap. Doesn't
Punchable, yeah.
But it's nothing about their character.
No.
So I
It
think,
can be a person who's an all right person. It's just they've got one of those faces.
I think people think that of me quite often.
No,
I
no.
really do.
No
I
one
really-
would want to slap your face.
I think I could get a punch at a peace rally. I really do.
No.
I mean, people haven't.
Not old cock-a-leaky, surely.
Perhaps I should wear a name badge saying leaky, and then it sort of
No, I think
counterbalances
I
it.
think you look too dangerous to be.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
I
that's
find Brian Dowling a little bit punchable.
Yes.
Is that wrong?
Actually, he's
it's not homophobic. It's not to do with
That's not
that.
homophobic.
got
it's
nice
just
skin, hasn't he?
He's got. He's one of those blokes who he's built like a weeble. He's got quite a big behind from the look of the way he squeezes into those suits. So I'd really want to. I'd want to do a. You know, Jose Mourinho kicked
Yes.
a man up the bottom in the street the other week, allegedly. That's where I'd go with Brian.
Oh, yeah,
I'd-
yeah.
But again, he seems a nice chap, but he's just got one of those bombs.
It's lovely.
that you,
He's just a bit punchable.
yeah. I'll tell you who's got a very slappable face. Michael Malpergo. The writer of
the
War
children's
Horse.
author. Yeah.
And I'm sure he's a good man who's brought joy to thousands, but I would like to slap him across the face. If we could work it out for charity, for comic relief,
You'd do that.
I'd pay
He's quite sort of...
I'd say £1 million to slap him across the face. That's just off the top of my head. It might be able to talk me up on that, but let's say that as a starter. What else?
If he hears about that and actions it, you could really regret that. So.
No, you see,
now, Posh Spice, you see, I wouldn't want to slap Posh Spice across the face, but I would like to tickle her till she broke wind.
That would be good.
Oh, my God.
I think that would really ultimately make her a happier person.
Yeah, definitely.
You just got to break that frosty front on her.
Yeah. And there'd be two reasons, wouldn't there? There'd be the tickling and the breaking wind. That's bound to cheer her up on two counts.
Well, I'm seeing the breaking wind as an unavoidable byproduct of tickling her heavily. That's not my target.
Oh, really?
By any means.
I just want to cheer up the whole room.
I just want to I want to find that young, happy, enthusiastic girl that used to be in there. That's what I want to do. I want to save that girl.
Shall I read another email?
Do it!
Morning all, just a quick request that you consider the consequences of your humour. A couple of things. It's not a quick request, and humour is not in inverted commas, so that's a good start, isn't it?
And they haven't talked about our tan shoes.
Yeah, you almost put me in the gulag. I'm currently earning my living in Moscow, vague, and listen to you guys every week on my walk to work. The journey takes me past the rather imposing Ministry of Foreign Affairs building.
Brilliant.
If you can remember the towering and intimidating skyscraper at the end of Ghostbusters, then it's almost exactly like that, but scarier. My wandering past one of the bored but dangerous-looking policemen guarding the building a few weeks ago coincided with one of your amusing comments. Can't remember which, but became... ensuing events demanded my immediate attention. As I chuckled, I caught the eye of the Russian policeman on guard. As he couldn't hear what I was hearing in my headphones, he immediately thought I was mocking him in some manner.
Oh, dear.
He stopped me and asked for my passport. I didn't have it. A major error. So I was taken for some unpleasant questioning for the next 3 hours.
That's so hard.
I made it out alive, you'll be glad to know, but please think about what you're doing when being amusing in future. It might put someone in the gulag. From Simon in Moscow. P.S. If Emily's ever in the Russian capital, I'd be happy to organise an itinerary.
Well, I'm cancelling my trip now on Aeroflot after hearing that story.
That is... what worries me about that is that Gérard Depardieu...
Yes!
He's a big podcast listener. Mm-hmm. And he's defected, of course, to Russia. So... he could end up in hot water. And by the look of him, he hasn't been in hot water for many years. Fancy that.
Like a gammon he'll be.
That's a terrible...
Frankie won't be in the gulag. There's not enough cake there for him.
No. But what about... What's this guy called?
Simon in Moscow.
What I'm worried about... We nearly got Simon into trouble. I'll tell you what, Simon, if you can get us any cheap salt... I've got a bit of a... the back road, our flat's gone a bit slightly treacherous at the moment. No, that's a great story.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank, I think we've solved the vanilla mysteries.
Good.
The vanilla riddle.
Yes.
The Vanilla Mysteries was a very good daytime TV. It has American reruns. It's like two teenagers in the Idaho town of Vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
Who used to investigate a lot of local, mysteries.
I was also watching Rosemary in Time when that was on.
Yes.
Paul McDonald, he says, "Hi Frank, vanilla bean and pod are exactly the same thing. Just
shut up.
Two ways of describing it."
Oh. So if I'm buying vanilla ice cream or I'm buying vanilla bean ice cream, what am I getting the difference?
Well, Andy from Leeds has texted saying, "Morning crew, the difference between vanilla ice cream and vanilla pod ice cream is roughly £1 a portion."
Well, what he's done is he's sidestepped the bean.
Yes.
I like his little joke, though. It's good. £1 a portion. It's £1 dearer.
Well, you would like that, of course. That's very much up your Straza.
Oh, so your Straza. Frank, I don't think we can let the morning go on any further without discussing Lance.
Oh, Lance.
He's been a bit of a silly Billy.
Well...
He's got in a little bit of trouble.
In case you haven't heard this story, turns out Lance Armstrong, who won the Tour of France 7 times...
The Tour of France?
He turns out he was on the drugs.
Yeah,
on the drugs.
Yeah.
he was.
I'll tell you something, it's ruined him as well. He didn't stretch once during that whole interview.
Stretch
Remember how
Armstrong.
stretching used to be?
Yeah.
Oh, man, you could stand one side of the room and he'd stretch into
Much
the
more
other.
tanned as well, he used to be.
The drugs have completely removed his stretchability.
Do you think any of them spotted that potential for a pun? Like when he got off the bike after a day on the Tour of France, do you think any of them went, come on, stretch Armstrong? Do you think there was a little bit of...
That was a long stretch. Armstrong. they did any
I
of
bet
that.
they didn't.
No, but
No, they wouldn't have done
fools.
that.
They're
I don't
fools.
know him well,
Of course
but
they
he
didn't.
didn't
They were
strike me as
high.
a man that
they were
enjoyed
strung
humour.
out. That's why they didn't
They
do
were
it.
strung out.
They were
Oh,
high,
man.
but only because they were in the Alps, mainly.
How Frank thinks drugs affect.
That's how drugs are. I imagine he's on the bike going, oh, whoa, man.
I think
Look at
it was
all
really
these
impressive.
wheels.
I think it's impressive that he took drugs and stayed on that bike. I think that's brilliant.
But they were helpful drugs, though, weren't they?
They had a helmet. Yeah, they had a helmet just in case. In case they go over.
The weird thing is that everyone's saying, oh,
I don't think it's that bad.
he's trying to bring down his sentence, because his sentence is that he's banned from cycling for life. And
Is he?
The reason
quite-
is that...
I'd have thought at 41 you're banned from cycling for life anyway, by God.
Well, I wonder,
Yeah.
but how are they going to police that? Like, is he still allowed to cycle in his own drive? Like, he's probably got
Yeah.
land, hasn't he?
Can he go on a cycling machine at the gymnasium?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But then, America is a country with 300 million guns, we're told to believe, so maybe they're all agreeing, right, if we see him on a bike, we'll just fire at him.
Well, I think if I lived in a country with 200 million guns, I'd probably get on a bike. And anything that enabled me to cycle as fast as possible, I'd be taking. That's your only chance.
He didn't,
don't know,
Frankie didn't cry. That was the problem. He should have done that Piers
should have
Morgan.
cried,
He should have gone on with the Piers
He probably
Morgans.
can't cry anymore. Probably his
The drugs have ruined
his
it.
ducks have closed up.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. They're
Poor
jammed.
I have a certain. I must admit, I'm mixed up about this whole story.
No.
Why? I don't think it's that bad, but...
Well, I mean, let's face it, I'm living on Lemsip this morning. Is that bad?
Yeah.
Is it bad that I'm living on Lemsip?
No, it's bad that Lance Armstrong did that. It's
No,
really
can
bad.
I just say
Hold
he's
on,
still
you're
got to
answering a
work
completely different
out.
question.
He's still got to put the effort in.
Yeah, but you know what he didn't have to do? He
What?
didn't have to sue the people that said that he was a liar. That was a mistake.
Why is Daisy waving her hand?
I don't know.
Is it-
Fly in front of my
Oh, I thought,
Oh,
I thought
really?
we were on dodgy legal ground.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. There's a fly in front of your face in January. That's peculiar. I'm sure we must be on dodgy legal ground. I don't know. I'm on Lemsip. I'm on hot lemon barley water. And they have lemon curd every day.
Have you?
Come pancake day, I'm just going to urinate on the pancakes. It'll do the job perfectly well.
It's not finished, there's more.
I know, there's part 2 to come.
It's not
In
over.
part 2 he says, nah, not. And then it ends.
He says, what's up, when he starts.
It's definitely not over till the fat lady sings.
I don't know. Wouldn't it be better if they just said, let's not bother with the drug thing, everybody can take as many drugs as they like? Because he was worried about the whole level playing field is what he kept on about.
Yeah.
But he wasn't making it level, was he? He was making it, fine for him.
I suppose downhill is what he'd want to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he could just freewheel.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Do they
Unless-
do that, professional cyclists? Do they ever just do freewheel?
I'd love it if they
I think
did
they
that.
might. Someone will text in.
Do they put those bits of plastics on the back spokes so it goes...
I don't think they do that.
I was alarmed to discover that the name for the drug he it was called EPO, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And apparently that was because they named it, they used to call it Poe, after Edgar Allan Poe was their code name for it.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, why drag him into it? I thought that was awful.
Yeah, that seems
I
a
imagine
shame.
You got
Edgar
any
Allan
Poe,
Edgar
aren't
Allan
you?
Poe probably did a bit of laudanum or something, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah,
dark
I
character.
think so. But they do strike you as sort of a humorless bunch sometimes, don't you? You get the feeling that Lance Armstrong, at no point in winning those 7 Tour de France's, went wee on the way down a hill. At
No.
no point would
But he
have
might have
done
done. Only because he was completely spaced out of his box.
that. I don't think it was those kinds of drugs
So
he was
what
taking.
Frank thinks it's like...
What happens to his trophies?
Well, they've taken them all off him. Did you see
they?
that shot of him lying on his
Did
couch
they?
underneath the 7 yellow jerseys? And they said, he's no longer... I don't think he's even allowed to wear a yellow jersey anymore. I think that's one of the rules.
Well, he's a Norwich fan as well.
Well, that's a shame.
It's a big punishment.
That's a
isn't it?
shame because it's a big colour for spring-summer as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they should ban him from cycling for life. I think a better punishment would be to have him cycle, but like somehow give him piles and
I'm sure there are drugs that do that.
Yeah, the lycra, and say, right, now you've got to do a Tour de France with piles. That'd teach him, wouldn't it?
Of.
A Tour of France. Sorry, it's force of habit. I call it the Tour de France.
If we're going to say France, don't they say Francais? Don't they say France?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I thought one of the least savoury things about the Lance Armstrong thing was that every now and again he would just reference the fact that he'd beaten the cancer and then I wanted to win, almost like, I was ill, so I've got an excuse,
Yeah.
But then...
See, we didn't mind him using drugs to beat the cancer, so why shouldn't he use drugs to win the Tour de France?
I don't think he
Come on,
can...
it's Tour of
I don't think he
France.
can blame that...
No, I think that you can come back, because that's saying, we use what's at our, what's the point of progress if you can't use all the
I
things
just
at
thought
your
he was slightly
fingertips?
blaming the fact that he had a disease. But then again, I did think about it. And
Well, it
my
is
mum
the
had
type.
cancer a few years ago, and she now cannot be trusted at Monopoly. She will cheat every time.
Yeah.
So there is a link there, it's turning out.
Oh,
Yeah.
blimey. Which iconic pewter thing does she want to get rid of on the Monopoly board?
I haven't asked her, but I will.
Well, let's find out. Let's canvass her.
Actually, I meant to say happy birthday to my mum last week on the show, and then I never. But
Too
I'll do
late.
it now.
Turn into Dr. Fox.
Doesn't it? Happy birthday, mother.
Tell you what, I'm thinking that comedians should
Oh, yeah.
start returning their comedy awards if they've been on shows where they've used writers.
Do you think?
Do you think?
Well, I've done panel shows.
Oh, I feel stiff and stressed.
I've done panel shows, right, where I've just been on as a guest, right?
Yeah.
And there's been other people on as guests, and I found out after that they've had like 4 or 5 writers each.
Oh, that's not fair, is
That's
it?
not a
when
level
you're,
playing field, is it?
You're doing
No.
it pure. On that subject...
No, they're
with,
using performance-enhancing writers.
Yeah, and often they are really
And at home,
enhancing.
people are thinking, they're funnier than that Frank Skinner. In
Yeah.
fact, it's 5-6 to 1. Is
Yeah.
that fair?
We
I don't
use
think it
coffee
is
to
fair.
get through this show.
I wonder if
So-
Oprah knows about this.
If Dr. Fox doesn't, Frank, then he's got good grounds to be
Yeah,
cross
yeah.
about that.
I'm just saying it's not a level playing field on the panel shows.
I know,
Can
I
I
know,
just
Frank.
say
I
on
can
the
tell it's an
subject,
issue.
on
It
the
is an
subject
issue.
of your television performances...
They're miming. Basically, it's like miming. on top of Fox. They're miming to someone else's jokes. Carry on.
On the subject of your good self on television,
Oh, hurry up,
we've
I
had
really
an
need to-
email
I need to go to the
saying
ladies.
Frank on point.
Sorry.
Be unprofessional.
Oh,
You
don't-
can do
don't
that during
squirm.
the songs. You know that, don't you?
Don't squirm like that.
Hurry up! I
That's
need
what-
to go to
That's
the
what Oprah
ladies.
said to Lance Armstrong.
I was out last Saturday and I got into a state where I really thought I'm not going to get home in time.
This is awful.
And I actually tied
I
with
think I'm
the
going to make it,
I
guys.
tied with the idea of just, why don't you go? We can carry on
Oh.
talking.
Frank's just telling a really long story before I do this really long email now.
I was
That
just toying
seems a
with you.
shame.
I actually thought, how bad would it be if I went myself?
not that bad.
I started to think about it.
It's not that bad, is it? I don't think.
No, I thought it'd be, yeah.
In
I
this
thought,
weather, it'd probably be quite nice.
I thought
for a while.
Well, I was looking forward to the warmth.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank, stop talking about messing yourself.
Oh,
Frank. Just
sorry.
read that.
Messing yourself is something altogether.
I'm sorry.
Hello,
Carry
I'll read this email now. Hello,
Take your
Frank,
time.
Emily, and
Stop it,
Alan.
Frank.
I know
Don't pour that
Frank is a
water.
big fan of the afternoon quiz Pointless.
Indeed.
So I wonder if he was watching on Wednesday? Question mark.
No,
The subject for the jackpot question was Brit Awards hosts. I'm afraid to say
Why did you have to bring that up?
I immediately shouted Frank Skinner at my television as a suitably obscure answer.
thanks very much.
You still remember it, don't you?
Yeah.
However, Richard Osman later revealed that 2 people out of 100 remembered Frank hosting the Brits. Nearly a pointless answer, that's good,
Oh,
isn't
that's
it?
good. I thought I'd killed everyone that saw it.
My other guess of Noel Edmonds turned out to be a pointless answer, however, and would have been enough to win me the jackpot. This also means that Noel Edmonds is now officially more obscure than Frank. Love, Chris.
That's a good time to go to the loo.
Yeah, I love that, actually. I just like the fact that I've sort of been on Pointless now,
Yeah,
which is
exciting,
brilliant. OK, off you go.
Absolute Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Got a bit of toilet paper stuck to your shoe.
Not. At least I've still got a shoe. At least I've got a heel on a shoe.
No, that to show you it hasn't disintegrated.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the thing about the Lance Armstrong thing is that the great joy of David Beckham is that although he's like the most famous sportsman, or one of the most famous sportsmen in the world, he's never really been, he's never been the late nightclub, nothing dodgy about him.
No, he's clean.
You might think that, but...
I do think that.
No, but Morrissey has been talking about the Beckhams, actually,
Oh,
Frank.
I thought, yeah.
Did you see that?
I did see.
Morrissey's been doing a lot of talking, hasn't he?
Oh, he likes talking,
a lot of
all right.
talking.
I like he
He's
said
really good
that
at talking.
Morrissey
Beckham can kick a football. Morrissey's
something
only good
about-
at
I love
talking, isn't
Morrissey.
he said the Beckhams were what's gone wrong with modern Britain, and I like he was discussing this issues in Loaded.
Yeah.
He also said they should be dragged to the edge of the village and flogged.
Yeah, they don't.
It's gone a bit Chaucerian. They don't do that anymore.
I don't think they do that anymore. Not with celebrities.
He might
also
mean
that-
Greenwich Village.
That annoyed me. What edge of which village? Like, what village is it that he thinks?
The village.
Highgate Village.
Whose side are you on? I am not a number.
I think public floggings are probably outlawed now anyway. I
Yeah.
don't know if it'd be
And
allowed.
also, I wonder
Not
how.
in the S&M community.
Oh, Frank!
I wonder how Morrissey
You
would
haven't
attend
given
this
us any updates from them recently.
flogging
No.
of the Beckhams from Hollywood. Would he come to the village to look at it? Is that what he'd do, or is there a village in Hollywood that he would like
Do
to?
they still live in
Doesn't
Hollywood?
Beckham lives in England now, doesn't he? He's moved to England, but doesn't Morrissey live in America? He's in LA somewhere.
He lived in Italy for a while. I asked him when I had dinner with him.
Did you?
Anyway.
You know, people
right.
talk about the dinner guests that they would love to have dinner with. Morrissey, I think, would be the very bottom of my list
Really?
of people to
Well,
have dinner
it's
with.
so handy that he'll
What
never
a
ask
bore.
you then, isn't it?
What a bore he would be.
You'll never find
a
out.
teetotal vegan that says mean things about the Beckhams.
No, that's
I
Leonard
couldn't
Nimoy.
imagine a less fun night
Well,
than
you're
having
wrong.
dinner with Morrissey.
Because it was one of the nights of my life.
Oh.
Was it?
Yes!
Was he a raconteur?
Yes!
Oh, yeah, by saying outrageous things, but not
You weren't there,
actually
so you'll
being
never know.
interested.
Well, he said one marvellous thing in
Like,
that
no,
Loaded
I mean-
interview, and he said, I nearly voted UKIP.
Yes.
Which sounds like when people should say, laugh! I nearly voted UKIP. It sounds like that kind of thing.
He said he felt like they were the sort of people that... Oh, no, footballers, he was saying, they couldn't identify a harp.
Yeah.
Which
Well-
is quite a strange cultural benchmark, I thought.
Yeah, exactly. And who demands that of a footballer? They're meant to kick balls.
They used to be able to.
Did they?
Certainly a point harp. They'd identified now. Now, I suppose, they're up with the Armstrongs, if you receive my meaning.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Kokaliki Cock. There you have it. My housekeeping is done. I can sit back and relax and enjoy the show. How many of you lot can say that out there?
Frank, Damien has just observed that Tanya Snug sounds a bit like a character from Family Guy, but most importantly wants to know, hi Frank, are you a fan of Family Guy?
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I do like, Big Bang Theory.
You like the
Love that.
nerds, don't you?
Yeah.
You like...
Love
I love
that.
that. I'll watch 2 on the
You
trot.
love a bit of nerd comedy.
2 on the trot.
I'll watch them back to back.
Really?
But Family Guy...
I don't know if you're the intended demographic, and that's why I like you.
I don't know why, because people tell me Family Guy's great, and that's probably why I don't watch it.
Yeah.
It's American as well.
Yeah, I mean, what'll it be next? Broken Birds? What was it called?
Breaking Bad. Breaking Birds.
Breaking
One that
Bad.
you
Birds.
heard earlier.
Breaking Bad!
Yeah, Broken Birds is actually the name of my autobiography.
Broken Bird's like that sort of thing that Wendy Craig would be
Broken
in.
Birds could be a Leonard Cohen song, couldn't
Yes.
it?
Really
It could
could, yeah. We also...
Broken birds on a purple sky,
Oh.
and your broken heart when he said goodbye. Leonard Cohen there.
nice,
Broken
nice
Birds.
rhyming couplet, Sky and By, but...
Thank you very much.
We also had a text. I don't know if you remember, we were talking about the shoes that you see on the side of the road. We've had 2 different texts basically,
different texts.
I love that that's our
saying-
text in this morning. What shoes have you seen on the side of the road?
basically saying the same thing, but this one.
Are we conducting some sort of investigation?
Did you know this? This one says, I work for the ambulance service. If you play up and try to assault us, as you regularly do, we throw one of your shoes away or swap them with a tramp's. That's what they've said. Apparently,
it's quite 70s calling them tramps.
quite a
as
lot
well.
of people are abusing the ambulance service whilst
Well, that's-
drunk,
oh,
and they
yeah,
get
I
their
can
shoe hoiked out on a dual carriageway.
I bet that happened to you
Who
in
knew?
1981, Frank.
Oh yeah,
Not
it
very
might
rude.
have. Do you think that
I
happened
think it
to you?
might have.
Yeah.
Did you ever miss a shoe during those years?
I did get drunk once and lose a shoe, but then someone told me it was a flip-flop. I'd use it to hit the fallen statue of Saddam Hussein. I was on holiday at the time. So that was all
You were
right.
ahead of your time, weren't you?
I was a bit,
81.
yeah, I was. Yeah, we had a rehearsal. We had a dress rehearsal.
Good. An undress
But,
rehearsal.
yeah, it was all right. Went all right, but then there was the actual show was delayed for quite a while.
It was, yeah.
Frank, are we ready to turn into the cul-de-sac that is Email Corner?
I wouldn't call it a cul-de-sac. That seems very negative. I'd say it's more of a muse.
It's a music.
We're in Email Corner. Oh, it lingers. I didn't realise how much it lingered.
Oh, it lingers a lot.
They reverberate the sitars.
Frank, this is from Lizzie. She
She
says
sounds like fun.
Yeah.
she sounds like she'd have a lot of get up and go in the mornings.
Sounds thin.
Listening, oh, lovely. Listening to last week's shows regarding the strange landlord, I thought I would share a recent story.
I should say that story was the landlord who made them sign sort of
yes.
41 conditions, all of which I thought were
You
reasonable.
thought was 100% reasonable.
Yeah, it's also a new character Al Murray's working on. The strange landlord.
Oh, yeah, it's just sort of slightly quirkier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, I thought I would share a recent story. When I went house hunting for my friend and I viewed a very bizarre
Can
house.
I just stop you there?
Yes.
Sorry, all this happened to me. I was just like I was just rubbing my hands together.
Oh, God.
Glee.
And in one of in Glee, and I found in a fold in my thumb some of my antiseptic hand wash that I used an hour ago. It just sat there in a fold.
Oh, yeah.
That's not good, is it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I mean,
I suppose it means that when you're out.
We're now
you can-
talking about what is in your folds of flesh.
Yeah, exactly.
If
Well,
it's
I'm
Paul Mason, Britain's ex-fattest man, we don't have time for your anecdotes.
well, as you
Exactly.
know, I gather belly button fluff like nobody I know.
Not to go back there. Let's.
Ill.
I'm like a tumble dryer.
Can we go back to this lady's
Yeah,
landlord?
let's do
Okay.
that.
I viewed
Lizzie.
I've viewed a very bizarre house in Harborne.
Oh God, I used to live in
Birmingham.
Harborne. I used to
Oh.
live at 67 Ravenhurst Road.
Oh.
You know, by the laundrette.
Is there a plaque there now? Is there a blue plaque?
I doubt it.
Okay.
There's a lot of plaque there when I lived there.
I was going to say,
I have to floss.
souvenir hunters don't all go rushing down there because there'll be a nice family living there now.
I'd like to know who lived. It was bedsits at the time, as you can imagine. 15 quid a week I paid. Well, I say I paid. You paid.
You paid. I like that party.
Yeah. I nearly
Firstly,
voted you paid.
the bedroom had a window. So this is the house in Harborne, Frank.
Yeah.
The bedroom had a window leading out to the landing.
What a good idea.
Something
I mean, why do windows always have to be on the outside of the house?
you could set up a little butty area. I like that.
But often you can see much more interesting things in other people's rooms.
Just
than
sit
you
there and
can.
watch your family. It's
Yeah.
weird.
No, I like the idea of internal. Why should doors have all the fun? They get to be external and internal. Oh, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put a window inside my house.
So this was something the desperate estate agent apparently tried to call a feature, saying I could wave at my housemate.
Nice.
Secondly, and more bizarrely, after we'd viewed the house, he told us that the landlord had koi carp in the garden and that if we were to rent it, we would have to look after the fish as they were his pride and joy, and we would be liable if anything happened
Well,
to his fish.
that is not legally correct.
Yeah.
I think if
Oh,
you take
talk us through the
Well, if you
koi carp legislation in this country.
okay,
Frank.
if you take the order of habeas corpus,
Oh, I'm so pleased for you.
he could never. No way.
No,
No,
okay.
I hope
Not
so.
having it. Not having it. You did watch a lot of LA Law, didn't you? Once upon a time.
Is that
so-
what it is? I thought it was called La Law. Oh, no, I
It was
better
a
write
French
full of
programme.
myself. I asked people, did you see La Law last night? They just looked at me. When I lived in Harborne, we got burgled.
Oh, yeah.
And the burglar stole my VHS recorder, 2 Sony Walkman, and a Pogues cassette.
Oh no.
Looking back now, he was actually compiling a time capsule. But could you have anything more 80s stolen than those things? Blimey, who broke in? Tony Hadley?
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Still there. Still in the email corner.
Well, let me read an email to you. That seems like the appropriate action.
Okay.
I downloaded a sample of the book Dispatches from the Sofa on Google Play. That's a book you wrote.
Yeah, sample, you notice.
Yeah. Always got one eye on the housekeeping budget. This
Yeah,
guy.
I would imagine
Good for
if
him.
he'd downloaded the whole book, he wouldn't have brought the sample thing up.
Yeah, I downloaded a sample of Dispatches from the Sofa
Mm.
on Google Play, and it suggested another book written by you called Cook, Baker, Candlestick Maker. I must admit, the synopsis reveals a side of you I never knew existed.
Yes.
I say it's very popular. It says it's very popular with readers of your other books, apparently. And that's from Nick Clive.
Not from the Blue period.
Well,
Now,
I'm amazed that this man has escaped my attention.
it is genuinely amazing.
Because I did, having seen this email previously, I looked up Frank Skinner, who wrote, what is it, Cook, Baker?
Cook, Baker, Candlestick, Maker.
And he's a bit of a character.
He is a bit of a character. Not in the same way you
Is he
are.
a colourful character?
I'm assuming it's someone else. He says, I mean, I've done so much, you forget. But I don't remember writing a book called Understanding Arabs.
Or being a Marine, or
That would stick in
any
your
of that
mind,
stuff.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that I completely do understand them.
I don't think you do. I mean,
It depends what language they're speaking for a start off.
yeah.
And sometimes, from what I've seen on the news, they can be extremely irate.
Some of them are. Some of them are.
And often I don't understand why. And I must say, they make a terrible job of an effigy. If I couldn't make a better lookalike effigy, anyway. So I didn't write that book. Also, it said one of the things, and it's like things to Frank Skinner on the
Yeah.
web,
What if you like this, you're like this?
Yeah.
No, well, it says a letter to Frank Skinner. It says, dear Frank Skinner, and I thought, well, obviously I can read this. It says, I read your article in Detonator magazine. I have no knowledge of that. It was.
It's at 1980s.
He's quite a frightening bloke, isn't he?
Is he?
These are the other Frank Skinner.
He's an ex-Marine that has served time in various conflicts.
Well, why is he
and
writing some great British Bake Off book then?
I don't think that is what he's writing.
Cook, Baker, Candlestick
Yeah,
Maker. I was
yeah.
going to buy that for my old nana.
This was one of the write-ups again. I was fascinated by this. He said the book tells how Frank was taken back into Marine Corps, having been exposed to the national assets.
Yeah.
You remember those pictures of Kate Middleton?
Yes. We all do.
Well, I was upset as well.
But we didn't have to head back to the Marine Corps.
I'm just going to, if I can...
He's a bit of an Andy McNabb type,
I
isn't
think he is, yeah.
And that means he's doomed to always be photographed in silhouette.
well, there's a...
He needs to get a Stella McCartney dress, Frank.
There's
Send
a
him
proper picture of him.
He's not in the Andy McNabb
He
silhouette.
doesn't care, Frank. He doesn't care. It's a nice write-up from Rogue Warrior, who is another
Do you know,
writer.
I was thinking of him only the other day.
I mean, will I ever write a book where someone says definitely a must-read for tacticians, future leaders and historians? Almost certainly not. But this is the bit, I'd like help with this. The author captures the human endeavours necessary to accomplish and obviously enjoy in order to pioneer the development of a continual facet of warfare and meeting the challenges of the changing threats in both military and commercial arenas. That's written by a computer, isn't it? I think that doesn't, to me, makes no sense at all. But I've become fascinated by Frank Skinner, the ex-Marine.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe me and him can get together on MySpace. If he hasn't invaded it.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I feel we should talk about horse meat.
We should talk about horse
I
meat.
don't mean
it's everywhere.
the nightclub near you.
No.
There is Vauxhall-based nightclub called Horse Meat.
Is there actually?
Yeah. A lot of my male friends go there. Can you two please reassure me you haven't got a whole host of awful jokes that you're going to come out with if we discuss horse meat?
About horse meat? What
Yeah.
about stuff like being the main course?
Alan?
And I'm on a stable diet. I'll tell you what I might do, though. Foreign object in food. I haven't heard that for a long time.
Well, it depends where it's from. Might not be foreign.
Yeah, we should say, actually, that this is a separate story from the horse abattoir, which is a horrible, cruel, nasty, vile, upsetting story, and nothing to do with this. But it does seem that there's a bit of horse meat knocking around in some of the commercially available burgers.
Yeah.
Beef burgers. I've always thought beef, pork, lamb, they're not firm categories in my eyes.
No.
They're only rough guidelines. Yeah.
Really?
If I bought a hamburger, for example, which suggests the pig, doesn't it?
Yes.
Ham.
It really does, yeah. The clues are all there, I would
If I
say.
had a hamburger and found it was beef, I wouldn't even trouble me for a second.
Worry me in the slightest.
What about the other way around? If you were, say, Jewish or Muslim?
That's a different.
Well, given that you've written the book Understanding Arabs,
that's a different.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
why I'm
appreciate
asking.
your insights.
That's why I'm asking Frank
different
Skinner. It's
kettle
Frank
of-
Skinner of Understanding Arabs, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I've thought all along when I joined this show. You know, that's how they pitched it to me.
Okay, well, let me explain it to you. I think that whoever your God is, surely he or she would forgive you if you ate that thing accidentally. You couldn't possibly know. So you're not thinking for a second, oh, I couldn't be bothered to follow my... you know, you don't know.
I'm not sure you do understand Arabs.
You've been tricked. Well...
I tell you what I think, Frank.
Look, you're trying to ruin my book sales.
I think the problem is in the name. Because if you think about it, horse meat sounds horrible, but you don't say pig meat, you say pork. These are euphemisms we have. You don't say cow meat, you say beef. So we just need to rename it.
Whereas lamb,
Yeah.
it's fine. No one minds that. I don't know why. The lamb was on his... It's the
not-
frolicker. He's the little
Frank,
frolicker.
It's really lovely.
You don't say lamb meat, and that would sound horrible. So you've just got to take the meat off.
You don't say beef meat.
No, this is what I mean.
No, I'm sorry,
haven't.
my lamb comeback has blown your argument to pieces. You think there should be a technical term for horse meat?
Yes.
Let's call it hawk.
Yes, I like that.
H-O-R-K. Or heath.
H-O-R-K.
I'm happy with heath. Not ham. Unless H-A-M-B, that's going to cause confusion with
that would
ham,
be-
H-A-M.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would be difficult.
I
This
don't-
whole conversation isn't meant to be making me hungry, but it is.
Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I mean, what it actually said, I believe, about when these burgers were analysed is they
Yeah.
found horse DNA
Oh,
Yeah.
is that
in
right?
the burger. So what it could be, the cattle might have been killed by horses.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Horses
Horse
aren't they vegetarians? Horses. That'll be the
No, but they
text.
could have just been killed just for fun.
Oh yeah, because they're well
You know,
known.
they often find DNA on
They're well-known playful killers, aren't
Yeah,
they?
they are. And pig DNA as well. You wouldn't put it past a pig, would you, to just take out a cow?
Haven't you read his book, Understanding Livestock? 5 stars on Amazon.
Yeah, 5 stars and 12 Bovril cubes for the first 2,000 sold. Well, I'm all right with it, really.
I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah, I'm not so fine.
Maybe if they called them beast burgers.
Yeah, that'd be
That's
good.
good, Frank.
Yeah, and the logo could be Noah's Ark. And you take your pick, it's like pig and mix, they could call it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think we've sorted it.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Free horse meat.
Yes.
This is from Mike Dunnage. He says, hello, Frank, Emma and Cockerel.
Emma.
Okay.
Oh, you don't like it now when people play around with your name, do you? I mean, my name's not really
I would hardly
Cockerel.
call Emma playing around. It's
No,
not exactly workshopping the name Emily. It's not cock-a-leaky, is
Maybe
it?
he's being playful.
Emma.
Emma Leakey, that would have been good.
Emma Leakey I'd be happy with.
Cock Emily.
On...
Sorry, I'll take that back.
Thank you. This is from Mike.
Mike.
He says, stop it. He says,
He says stop it.
he says,
Everyone's a critic, aren't they?
he says horse meat is nothing. That's all
Horse meat is nothing. Is this a philosophical point?
He's quite existential. He
Yes.
is.
Right.
You are.
He says, when I was living in the Philippines, there was a massive scandal when it was discovered that, and he then names, can I name it?
No, don't name
okay,
it.
it's a Filipino fast food joint. It's their leading fast food joint. And apparently the burger meat there was 25% worms.
Oh.
But they got a lot of freshwater fish in there. They loved it. Queuing up.
Well, also,
that's a bigger scandal. I don't know why a worm should be worse than a horse.
no.
That's an interesting. If a worm fought a horse, it's one of those kind of arguments.
Yeah, I think
That's
the
the
horse
horse
would
would beat a worm.
Yeah, I
probably.
think so.
Unless it got some sort of internal worm that killed it.
Oh, yeah. That
See,
could
the thing
happen.
is, the worms. If you're toe to toe with a worm, they got no chance. But once they get internal, I found some more of that antiseptic thing in one of my folds.
Really?
It's really lingering with
How
me.
much have you got in there?
My hands are like the fattest man in Britain. In
Almost
many
all.
ways.
There was an amazing moment on Question Time this week when Nigel Farage was talking about the horse meat issue and said,
The Farage.
he said, I don't think we've heard the end of this. I think the next big thing to come out is donkey meat in European salami. He doesn't strike me as a man that likes European salami.
He always goes on about that.
Oh.
Very good.
And relax.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We had a text, I'm not sure if we read this already. I blame Graham Kerr for this horse meat fiasco. Wasn't he the galloping gourmet?
he was.
My parents were a big fan of his work.
I imagine they knew him well, did they not?
Oh, of course they did.
He came round for
course
dinner
they
with
did.
the Dalek.
Yes.
Dinner with a Dalek is a
You think
chapter of your biography.
All those
isn't it?
glasses were laid out on the lanyards.
You think, is Graham about to arrive?
Do you want a starter? No.
Oh,
Thanks very much.
congratulations.
Thank you. I'm here all week. Try the horse week.
Congratulations.
We had an email in during the week. Hi Frank, Emily and Alan. Just listened to today's podcast. Bovril and Oxo cube sucking.
Oh, because Frank and I were saying we used to like doing that.
Yeah.
We used to eat them raw.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Eat them raw. As a child, I got addicted to putting Andrew's liver salts in my squash to make my drink fizzy. I have no idea of the long-term consequences of my addiction. My best hope is an immaculate liver.
Just from Lance Armstrong. This is how he started.
Best hope is an immaculate liver. I think I really wanted a soda stream, but alas, it was not to be. Thanks for the last, and that's from Joy, brackets, ukulele newbie, close brackets. Joy.
No, that's like her
Sounds nice,
Dances
doesn't
with
she?
Wolves name.
Yeah.
Ukulele newbie.
That's I used to put Andrews in my Vimto,
Oh, really?
but his mum went mad about it. So I left it alone after that.
You used to put Perno in your Vimto, I heard.
That was later. What I did used to do actually, we always had Andrew's liver salts in the house in their in
What
their
did they
white
do, Frank?
tin.
Were they stomach
never had
suckers?
They're a laxative more than anything.
Oh.
But
God.
they brought the wind up as well.
Oh,
You'd have but that was 3 heaped. You see, 3 heaped teaspoons. But it did say, if you read that, if you just have 1 heaped teaspoon, you could drink Andrews as a refreshing drink. That's what it said. And
really?
so I'd say to my mum, Mum, we make us an Andrews, and she'd say, you got a bellyache? And I'd say, no, I just want it as a refreshing drink. Well, she knew then, but we used to use the phrase as a refreshing drink. Well, we'd never have said anything like that in any other context. We were dictated to by the Andrews tin.
Oh.
But it was, I could still happily drink it as a refreshing drink, because up your nose.
Refreshing drink.
And the thing is,
saying it.
you have to drink it while it's still fizzing. So it's a bit of a challenge.
What is the effect long term on the liver, though?
Well, we'll soon find out from Joy. All we have to do is scan her on a regular basis.
Yeah, we could
And,
all do with that.
I
Let's
imagine
let's face
it'll
it.
be something like the the soles of my Blundstones by now. Nevertheless, we know we've reached that time when we're near our finish. Mark Crossley is next. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Thank you so much for listening. And now get out.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.